Well, happy new year. It is 2025 and welcome to Scouching's Calder Trophy ranking for the month of January. What a year it is. Oh my goodness. I have not been able to watch as much of the NHL recently, but I've gone back and watched some of the rookie class this year. It is so hard for me to sort through all of these names, order them based on who should go where or who should earn this trophy. I would argue that all 5 of these players deserve the Calder Trophy in 2025. It's a really good rookie class, and I can't remember the last time there was something this exciting in terms of the future of the National Hockey League. But someone has to come 5th on my Calder ballot, and right now, that's going to be Dustin Wolf. He has been rock solid for the Calgary Flames this season. He's won 15 games this year, losing just 8, 6 in regulation. He's stopping pucks for a team that people weren't really giving the time of day this season. They're having a great year as a group, and I feel like Wolf is a huge part of that. He may be a little undersized, and that was the knock against him for a number of years, but the athleticism is definitely there. The ability to just make those saves when needed is absolutely pivotal to making sure your team can win games. He's been rock solid. He's been consistent. Very, very few duds in terms of games this season. It's just been a really, really good rookie year for Dustin Wolf. And could he be on the finalist ballot in the top 3 at the end of the season? I think it's entirely possible. But I mean, this range for me is really, really close. So for me, Wolf is a little bit further behind, a little bit less of a track record than the other guys, but I have no complaints about how he's played this season. And so he's going to be on this ballot for quite a while, I would imagine. At number 4, we're going to put Matvei Michkov, and this one is a really tough one for me as well, because Michkov is a guy who I feel like has produced a lot more on the power play than some of these other guys. There are some shot selection situations where I'm really wondering what he's doing in terms of trying to score from weird spots on the ice, but that is kind of his brand of hockey, just creating chaos, creating offense, but the playmaking is still there. The ability to distribute the puck to others is still there. The skill level is certainly high end, and anyone categorizing him as a defensive liability is just not really correct. I think he plays the game intelligently with a lot of really smart positioning, really good stick checking ability, and while he's not the most physical guy in the world, I do think that the offensive catalyst ability that he has is certainly worth betting on. Could he be on this finalist ballot as well and come 2nd or 3rd or even win the whole thing? Yeah, I think it's possible. He is at number 4 for me, but I really struggled with where to put him. It's really close between him and number 3 for me, so we'll see how things go over the next little while, but I have been a big fan of what Matvei Michkov's brought to the game. Even if his production has slipped a little bit in the last couple of games, it doesn't really bother me that much. I think overall you're going to get a really good offensive year out of Michkov and a really good offensive career out of Michkov over the next however many years it may be. And so we move on to number 3. And again, I would argue this is interchangeable with number 4, but we're going to go with Dallas Stars forward Logan Stankoven. His production has kind of increased in the last little while. The last game he played at time of recording was the most productive game he's had all season long with 3 points against the Toronto Maple Leafs. But his ice time is a little bit more limited than the rest of the crop here for the rookies. He's on a better team. He's a little further down the lineup. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is a guy who has more even strength production than a guy like Matvei Michkov. He's a player who's on the secondary power play unit for the Dallas Stars right now. He's a guy who is driving excellent offensive results in a little bit more of a limited role, and the defensive game is still there. He has improved his analytical profile over the course of this season. He is shooting 5% this year on the year, so I would expect him to have a really strong back half of the year. He's a guy I've loved to watch every single time I see Dallas Stars hockey this year. No disrespect whatsoever to Dustin Wolf and Matvei Michkov. Those guys are also having great seasons as well, but Stankoven just brings a little bit of that jam that I really love to see, and I think he just plays at both ends of the ice in a way that I love to watch. I think he's having a great season so far, even if the production is a little bit more limited than others. Considering all the analytical evidence, I feel like the rest of the season is going to go quite well for Stankoven. Could he be a finalist on the Calder ballot at the end of the year? I think it's possible. I'd say this is a soft number 3, but at the end of the day, he's a good player, having a really good season. Is he a guy that just misses it? I could also see that as well, but I've really loved him this year, and I think he deserves to be in the conversation for the Calder Trophy this season. And so we get to number 2, and This is another one I really struggled with, but for me right now, it's gonna be Lane Hutson. I'm a little scared to say that because Montreal Canadiens fans, God bless you, but you love your Lane Hutson. I love him too, don't get me wrong. I think he's one of the most exciting young defensemen in the National Hockey League. He's got 9 points in his last 5 games. He's a point a game over the last little while. He's been a huge boost to the Montreal Canadiens this year. They're getting a huge bump in the standings over the last month or so, and he's a big part of that. I think the dynamic offensive ability from Hutson is just on display time and time again. His defensive impact has been a little bit more limited recently over the last little while, but does that concern me? Not in the slightest. I think the offense more than makes up for the defense, and I don't think the defense is even that bad with a guy like Hutson. His overall results have been extremely positive. He is one of the most heavily depended on defensemen in the entire National Hockey League at the age of 20. I mean, what more could you want? This is a guy that I think could win the Calder Trophy at this point. He just keeps, to me, getting more and more comfortable, better and better, in a more and more impactful role for the Montreal Canadiens. And at the end of the day, him winning the Calder Trophy would not surprise me in the slightest. I've been super impressed with him. I think he's been better than I expected this season coming into the year, and I came in a really big fan of Hutson. So this is a pretty strong contender for the Calder Trophy in my opinion, a really strong number 2, but we'll get to number 1, and I'm sure at this point you can probably tell who it's going to be. So for me at number 1, it's going to be Macklin Celebrini. This one might be a little bit controversial to people at this point because he doesn't have as much production as some of the other guys, but at the end of the day, this is a guy on pace around a point a game at the age of 18. He is a tremendous play driver for the San Jose Sharks. He has been better for me this season than I certainly expected. He's been a major offensive play driver. The defensive analytics earlier in the year were not amazing for him, but they've really come down to earth. I think he's really done a good job just adjusting to the National Hockey League over the last little while. He's a huge positive impact player on the power play for the San Jose Sharks this year. There are little holes you can poke in his game here and there, I would say, but at the end of the day, a number 1 center at the age of 18 who plays like this, distributes the puck like he does, and produce both with a shot on his own, but also distributing to others, is invaluable. Guys like Lane Hutson are also invaluable, and guys like Logan Stankoven and Matvei Michkov and Dustin are also very important. But a guy like Macklin Celebrini could change the trajectory of a team like the San Jose Sharks over the long term. A fantastic season for him, especially for an 18-year-old. I could easily see him winning the Calder Trophy, but I could also easily see him coming second in voting by the end of the season, especially because he missed a little bit of time. But whenever guys miss some time and don't win the Calder Trophy because of it, we often look back on it and go, well, maybe we should have given it to the guy that was injured a little bit. But I think Macklin Celebrini, assuming he stays healthy from here until the end of the season, it should be a cakewalk by the end of the year if he keeps this up. He's improved over the season, only 18 years old. He's only going to get better from here. He's been better than I expected, and I think he's an extremely strong case for winning the Calder Trophy at the end of the season. So that's it for Scouching's Calder Trophy ballot for January 2025. If you enjoyed it, definitely like the video. If you have any comments of your own, definitely drop them below the video. If you're not familiar, welcome to the channel. We do live shows Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. You can ask me whatever questions you might have about the NHL draft, the NHL, your favorite kinds of pizza, whatever. I don't really care. But come on down, it's a lot of fun, and definitely check it out. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next month for another Calder Ballot.